In this example, I want to calculate the future value of an ordinary annuity. Let's say I take $1,000 and I deposit it at the end of every year for 15 years, and it's going to be $1,000 every single year. And I can earn 10% annually. And I'd like to know how much money I'll have at the end of the 15th year. So basically, let's assume that it's January the 1st of the year, and I'm going to wait until December the 31st to make my first deposit of $1,000. And then every year on December the 31st, I'll put in $1,000 for a total of 15 years. How much would I have here? The formula that we would use is the future value of an ordinary annuity, and it's equal to the payment amount or the annuity amount times the interest factor, which is in this case 1 plus I to the n minus 1 divided by I. That's very poorly written, but it should really look like this. So using the equation, my payment would be $1,000. My rate, or I, is 10%, so it's 0.1, so 1 plus 0.1. My n would be 15, subtract my 1, and then divide by my rate of 0.1. This interest factor, if I did all my math right, is 31.772. Then I would multiply that by the $1,000 payment, and that should give me the future value of the annuity, or $31,772. And we could break that down into interest earned. I know if I didn't earn any interest at all and I'm making 15 payments of $100, that's going to be the amount I contributed, which is $15,000. So the difference of $16,772 has to be the interest earned. So you can see it's earning a pretty good amount of interest. To do this on the financial calculator, we've got our 5 time value of money keys. The n would be 15, the I would be 10. Present value in this case is irrelevant, so I just input as 0. Some calculators you can clear the TVM keys. That's like the TIBA2 Plus has a clear all or clear TVM function. When you press that function, it will clear all 5 variables to 0, so you don't have to input 0 on ones you don't need. But like the TI-83 and the 84, probably the 89, if you aren't going to use a variable, you definitely need to input a 0 value for it. Otherwise, it's going to use whatever value you had stored previously, and that's going to mess up your answer. Our payment will be the $1,000. If I input it as a positive 1,000, I'll get a negative future value. If I input this as a negative 1,000, I'll get a positive future value. Solve for future value, and hopefully you will get 31,772. You can also do this in Excel. This time I think I'm just going to use the function without using the little dialog box that guides you. So the function we're after is the future value, and you can see that it's bolding the next variable that I need to input. That's the rate. In Excel, you enter your rates as a decimal, or I can enter 10 with the percent sign after it, like you see here. Then a comma, and I enter my 15, and a comma, and I would enter my payment of 1,000. Again, if I enter a negative 1,000, I'll get a positive future value, or vice versa. In this particular case, I don't have a present value. I can opt to skip it by just putting another 0, or another comma, or I can put a 0 and a comma for my payment. And then type deals with whether it's an ordinary annuity or an annuity due. And I can't remember if we talked about this in class last week, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now. If we make our deposits on the last day of the deposit time period, so the last day of the month or the last day of the year, then that's going to be an ordinary annuity, because the payment that we make that particular year won't be receiving any interest. But if I had made my payments on January the 1st and interest was paid December the 31st, then my payment would be on deposit the whole year to earn interest. That would make it an annuity due, and I would input a 1 here as the type variable. If you don't enter a type, it assumes it's an ordinary annuity. So here I could input a 0 to be my ordinary annuity and just press enter, and I see I inputted a bracket instead of parentheses. So there's the 31,772. But since I didn't enter a type, or I entered a type of 0, which is optional because it assumes the type of 0 if you don't enter anything, it also assumes a payment of 0 if you don't enter anything, I really could have just entered that and it would still give me the same answer. And this is usually how I do it, just because it saves me a little bit of time. Also, on the financial calculator, I had forgotten to mention, but my calculator should have definitely be set on end to get the 31,772. If you're not getting that answer and you're pretty sure you've entered everything right, then you probably had it toggled to begin. Begin just tells it it's an annuity due and not an ordinary annuity. So my payments would have been occurring on January the 1st instead of December the 31st of every year. If that's the case, then I would be earning more interest and I would be getting a higher answer than the 31,772.